going to share my first contact experience, and it would have been in summer of 2018. Would have been late July, maybe early August, when I was going through my dark night of the soul. And basically I had lost everything. My family, my house. I'm not going to get into those details, but I will tell what happened. So I was staying in my house, which was in Montpelier, Idaho, at the time, the house that I have lost at this point. But my wife had left me, taken the kids, and I was up there by myself, just in absolute misery. And one of the reasons why she left was due to financial struggle that we were dealing with, and me just not being able to resolve that problem. And I went to bed one night, and I remember everything so vividly, because I was in a dream, and in the dream I was I'll tell the details of the dream just because I remember it so vividly, and it's not super relevant, but I remember it so perfectly, and it'll just be a really good segue into my contact and my experience. I was dreaming that I was speaking to these two owners of a solar company, and they had just hired me to be the manager of one of their offices. So we were sitting in this really beautiful penthouse apartment that they had owned. It was beautiful. It was like a top-level apartment, and I was sitting in a sectional couch with one of the executives, and the other executive was off in this beautiful kitchen area, this island countertop, cutting vegetables to prepare this really amazing meal for us, while the other one and I were sitting on this couch having the conversation about my roles and just kind of getting to know each other. And then I suddenly became lucid in the dream and realized that I was dreaming. And when I became lucid, everything kind of went black, and I was awake, but I went into sleep paralysis and I couldn't move. And this is something that's happened to me frequently throughout my entire life since about the age of 11 or 12. So I'm very used to sleep paralysis, but usually if I can just like flicker a finger, like even a half inch, I can snap myself out of it. But this time I couldn't get out of it. I was stuck in sleep paralysis, and after maybe 30 seconds to a minute of the paralysis and not being able to snap myself out of it, something released me from it, and I'm laying on my bed, and I wake up, and I open my eyes, and there's a woman standing over me with her face. She's bent over me, and her face was about 18 inches from mine, and she's just looking into my eyes, and she had the most beautiful green eyes, blue skin, and red hair, like the type of red that a lot of women nowadays dye their hair, but for her it was natural. And she had this thing on her head, and it came to a point on her forehead, and it was flat on top of her head. And she had a white dress on that came to her wrists, but she's bending down looking over me. And so when I had gone to sleep, I was the only person in my home, so my first reaction was fear. So I jumped. But then I immediately, after that, had felt this really beautiful, soothing, comforting feeling of peace and of love coming from this being. And she's just bending over, looking at me, and she then stands up. Interesting thing, too, is that I was in a king-size bed laying on the side of it, and she's standing in the center of the bed, as if she felt very physical and seemed like a very physical being, but her body was in the bed. But then when she sat up, she turned and she walked continued through the bed, across the room, and went through the wall. And I don't know how long it took me to kind of regain my composure and to realize what was happening. But once I did, I was like, I'm going out there, and if she's going into a ship, I'm going with her. Because I was in absolute pain from what I had been experiencing by losing my family and just basically losing everything. So I throw on some shorts and I run outside, and there was nothing there. She was gone. So I don't know if she teleported or if she, if I just took too long trying to kind of process what had just happened. But it was a very sacred experience. About a year later, I learned who she was because it was haunting me. Like, why would this being come to help me? Like, there's a lot of people suffering and a lot of people dealing with anguish and heartache and heartbreak and other people going through dark nights of the soul too. But then I had received information through another contact and guide that she was a mother of mine from one of my past lives, and that she had given me a blessing when I was her son, that no matter what incarnation I was going through, I would always stay close to the surface on waking up, and that I'd always wake up easily. So I tell people that she was my literal awakening and what's the word? She was my literal awakening and my figurative awakening. So that is my experience.